Tonight, it's Victory Bourbon. The bourbon's not ugly. It's actually a rye. It's Redemption Rye. It's a rum-finished rye, just in case you're wondering. Good evening to you. It is Tuesday, February 10th at 9:36 p.m. Your Purdue Boilermakers are now 20-4 after one of the most frustrating, ugly, annoying, disappointing, anger-inducing, beautiful victories you'll ever see. How about that game? Listen, the Nebraska fans, 15 minutes ago, were on cloud nine. You saw it in there. You saw it in the arena. I'm sure their fans at home were just the inverse of me and my family at our home. They were soaring. They had come back. To win a Big Ten title, you got to go through teams like Purdue and beat them. You have to, right? And the victory was coming. They had fought all the way back from 22 points down, and they were about to claim victory. But instead, Jakari Harris hits 2 free throws to put the game away. There are so many bad things in this game, and there are so many good things. I guarantee I will not talk about all of them, but I'm going to try to. But before I do it, you know who I want to thank? First, I want to thank my friends at AJ's. I want to thank Adam. If I would have been in AJ's today, I probably would have been vomiting. Not because the it's delicious. I love it, Adam. I think your food's amazing. But my nerves, they were a ball. Still wound up. But if you want to go someplace where it's calm and it's welcoming and it's wonderful and you don't feel like you're going to throw up because you're so happy to be there, where do you go? Go to AJ's. You walk from Mackey briskly. You turn left at the fire station and you go in to where everybody knows your name, AJ's. You can get an Italian beef sandwich. You can get a burger, one of the many, many burgers. They got some creative stuff in there, but you got to try all of them at some point. You got to. You're being called to do it. And then you're going to get a pint. If it's game day, you're going to get a fresh boiled sports magnet at the bottom of that pint. You know, because he just got an order in. He did that for you. Adam did that. Burgers, beef, beer. That's AJ's. AJ's by the fire station. EatAJ's.com. And also, if you happen to throw up, I'm just going to keep going with this awful ad read that I've got. I don't read it. You can tell it's from the sleeve. If you throw up on your old t-shirt, what do you need? You need to buy a new t-shirt. And what are you going to do to find a new t-shirt? A new sweatshirt, a jacket, a hat. Where are you going to go? Homefield Apparel. Homefieldapparel.com. Yeah, Connor and the boys and the girls, they've got something waiting for you. It's old-timey. It's comfortable. It's beautiful. Homefieldapparel.com. Check out the Block P knit sweater. All right. Let's talk about good things first, okay? Let's talk about the good things. Some of the good things. A friend of mine texted me, great point, and he said, TKR looks like Dennis Rodman today. At that point, he had 12 or 13 boards, probably 12 boards at that point, and he had 1 shot attempt and no points. TKR attacked the glass today. He was incredible on the glass. His buddy, Oscar Clough, was also an absolute wrecking ball. Some might say you would have liked to see Oscar Clough in the game in the last 3 minutes, but he wasn't. I still don't understand that. Wait, I'm staying positive now, okay? I'm staying positive. Oscar Clough should have been in the game because he was so damn good. He was such a difference maker. He was holding 3 different Nebraska dudes in check, if we're being real honest. They couldn't do anything against him. If there was a loose ball, he was going to grab it. He was playing like a man possessed. He was playing like the guy that you saw about 10, 12 games ago, right? Good stuff. Braden Smith, a lot of assists, a lot of points early, right? He ends up getting 10 assists, which kind of puts him back on track for those of you at home that care about the record. The bad part, I don't want to talk about bad yet. Stop, B-Dowd. All right. Fletcher Loyer started off the game white hot, and so did Purdue. They were shooting the lights out early, okay? They were shooting very, very well. Also, C.J. Cox had a couple big threes down the stretch, huge. Benner had a big 3 down the stretch. But this is all good stuff. Things are good. Of course, Purdue wins. You're going to talk about good things, but not so fast, my friend, because there were so many bad things on top of that. You had Purdue falling well below, I don't know what they finished. We're going to look at the stats in a second, but falling from the white hot place they were to shooting in the mid-20s from 3. And how'd they do it? Well, Fletch and others just stopped shooting the ball well. They were open looks. Purdue was getting what they wanted and still couldn't hit it. And Braden Smith, in his defense, has got to be a little upset because how many assists were taken from the guy today? It's unbelievable. Clough would extend a possession. A lot of times they'd get a second look at the three and they'd miss it again. So shooting, a problem, right? The bigger problem, the biggest problem, was their inability to hit free throws down the stretch. But before they did that, they were coasting on fumes to the finish line. Purdue had, like I said, 22-point lead at like 13 minutes and 21 seconds left. And you watch that lead just dwindle and dwindle and dwindle and dwindle. And as you watched, Braden Smith missed the front end of a one-and-one. And Fletcher Loyer missed the front end of a one-and-one. You're like, these are two of Purdue's best free throw shooters. CJ Cobbs gets up there and he can put it away. And guess what he did? He missed the front end of a one-and-one. And then the man of the hour, Oscar Clough, he missed the front end. He may have missed both free throws. He missed free throws, though. Very, very frustrating to watch a team this good and this skilled to not want to win a game. And when I say that, you literally have the thing right in your hand. And you have guys that have done this 100 times. Maybe it's a little exaggeration, but have put games away 100 times. And for some reason right now, they can't do it. A real positive, I know I've kind of switched gears, but a real positive, Purdue at the 3 minute and 20 seconds, 3 minute and 15 second mark in the first half was up by 15 points. And I made a point to say, okay, let's see what they do in these next 3 minutes because they've been falling apart in the end of first halves. Well, they didn't shoot well during that time, but neither did Nebraska. And Purdue actually extended their lead out to 16 points at the half. Pretty darn good. But the closing of that second half, their inability to close out was extremely frustrating. Now, the next thing, I always say losses aren't just isolated events. What do you do with those losses? But wins aren't isolated events. Part of me thinks, even though Purdue won this game, you're going to have angry Fletcher Loyer at himself today, again. And what is he going to say? I'm better than that. I'm a better free throw shooter than that. I'm a better three-point shooter than that. I'm better than that. And Braden Smith, what's he going to say? I know I hit those free throws. I know I can hit those free throws. But whatever the clutch gene is, Purdue has the opposite of it right now with the exception of Jakari Harris. Nebraska got the ball back with what? 4.1 seconds. And they were down by 1? Is that right? Yeah, they were down by 1. That's it. 4.1 seconds. In overtime, Nebraska has the ball at the other baseline. They try to inbound the ball, and their own grounds people, their own mop boys and girls failed them because the floor was wet. And their point guard picks the ball. He spills his way onto the floor. Harris picks it up and was fouled right away, and then he puts the game away officially for Purdue to win 80-77 at Nebraska. And before you jump into the completely negative world and stay in there, which one would you rather be? Again, had the highest heights like the Nebraska fans and had it all crash to lose, or feel pissed off and angry because you've watched Purdue's seniors and one of their best shooters miss the front end of a one-and-one and you actually win? I'll take the W. And this is one of those games where you say there are no ugly victories. This is an extremely ugly game and a beautiful victory. And I'll stand by it. I know many of you, I'm not reading your comments yet. I know many of you are going to disagree and just, going to want to burn the place down. Here's the thing. If that's what we're going to do, if we're going to be angry and pissed off, we'll be angry and pissed off all the way to contention in the Big Ten title. This game was huge. Beating Nebraska was huge. Next up, they play Iowa on the road. And then you welcome Michigan at home, I believe. Is that right? And then you have, I think, is it IU and then Michigan State. So the next game, it's another big one. Now, here's the question. Does Purdue learn anything? First question. And how do you get the cool heads back? I don't know how to get that back. But I will say the positives that I see on the team today was they were busting their ass. The effort was very, very good. And that's one thing. That's like a little thing. And if you want to say Purdue grounded out, sure, you could say that. If you want to say Purdue got a little bit lucky, you could say that. But here's the thing. When 10 from Nebraska, I don't know his name, when he slips and falls and loses the ball to Harris, remember, they still had to go execute to get points to beat Purdue. and he was about, 75 feet from the other basket. So did Purdue get a little lucky? They did get a little lucky. Sometimes better be lucky than good. And hopefully this is the fulcrum point for this season, and we're going to see this team put it together now. Let's look at the stats together, shall we? All right, keep in mind, Nebraska's really good. I've seen Nebraska come back on teams because they tend to, because they rely so heavily on the three, sometimes when it's not falling, they fall in games. They fall back in games. But they also come back in games. They're really, really good. They had 2 losses coming into tonight, boys and girls. Now they have 3. 21-3, Nebraska on the season. They were 7th in the nation. My wife asked the question, will Purdue go up in the polls? Who gives a shit? Doesn't matter at this point, right? But what they probably did, more importantly than that, now they're in consideration to get up a line in their seeding for the NCAA tournament. That's a bigger deal than any of it because there are teams in their way to a number 1 or 2 seed right now. Number 1 seems like an absolute pipe dream. Number 2 is not a pipe dream. It's not at all a pipe dream because they have teams in front of them who are in front of them for that 1 and 2 seed in the Midwest, which I really want. Here's the deal, though. You don't get there unless you start putting things together. The thing that was so good to see, though, for at least moments, is you saw why Purdue is good. Why we thought they were good early in the season. You saw glimpses of it. You saw a very, very potent offense at times. You saw an offense that had places that could kill you from all over the court. You saw the big men mattering, right? And TKR's ability to just grab glass and go after it with that tenacious, never say die attitude, really, that was huge. It was absolutely huge. So you had, on one hand, TKR flying around the court to get every rebound he could. And on the other hand, you had Clough just out-muscling, right? They were important. All the Purdue fans that doubted that Clough should be in the starting lineup. This is what these guys do. And I want to encourage every Purdue fan to say, look at the data set. We're a logical bunch. We should be. Look at the data set before you want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. Purdue's still not playing like they're capable of playing. And they just beat, think about this. They're not capable of playing. They're not playing what they're capable of playing. Easy for me to say. And they just beat the 7th-ranked team in America on the road. Was it a circuitous path? Absolutely. Horribly circuitous path. But did they earn the victory? Yeah. And at the end of the day, that's what people are going to see more than anything. If they would have lost that game, which it looked like they'd choked that thing away, and they did choke it away, to be forced to go into overtime, that's a choke. But to get the victory is more important. Like I said, Trickhoff and Wren in 36 minutes of action. Remember, they did go into overtime. 6 points, 19 rebounds. That's absolute. That's the game right there. You have he and Clough combining for 33 boards. Clough gets 14. Purdue out rebounds Nebraska 54-37. That's the whole game. That's the whole game. Nebraska lifted themselves out of the cellar. When they were charging back, they were bombing threes, right? So they lifted. They were down in the 20s, hitting in their three-point percentage. They finished the game 38th, nearly 40%, and that's still off their average. Purdue shot the three horribly again in the 20s, 28%, 13 of 46. Cox had 2 massive three-pointers that looked like they were going to put the game on ice, and then Purdue's shit free throw shooting put it right back in the hands of Nebraska. Oscar Clough, like I said, 14 boards. He also added 12 points in 30 minutes. He deserved 5 more minutes of play. He was busting his ass. He was absolutely a wrecker. He had 2 assists. He only had a turnover. Let's see. Purdue's total turnovers above what Paint wants, above where their average was a couple games ago, but 11 turnovers. And some of those were costly down at the end. CJ Cox, in 30 minutes of play, had 11 points. He was 3 for 10 from 3, and he was 2 for 2 on his last 2 shots in regulation, by the way. Braden Smith, 40 big minutes. He had 13 points. He was 3 for 9. He's close. He's close to being respectable there. And he also had 8. This is an old Braden Smith. It's a classic Braden Smith box score, but you look at how he got there. It was a struggle. It was a struggle. 13 points, 8 rebounds, 10 assists, only 1 turnover, 10-to-1 ratio, 2 steals along with that, and a block. That's a damn ball game right there, boys and girls. Even though he missed his free throw. Let's look. His free throw line for the day, 0 for 1. And that free throw was massive. I mean, he's a 77%, 72% free throw shooter, I think. Misses the front end. Fletcher Loyer, 88% free throw shooter, misses the front end of a free throw. He was 4 for 5 on the day. Nobody's going to remember that he hit the other 4. They're going to remember that he missed that one. So now what these guys have to do is go make us all forget, and they can, and they will. Fletcher Loyer in 41 minutes of play, so played more than Smith, and he earned it. 18 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists, just 1 turnover. Daniel Jacobson had limited minutes, but only because Oscar Clough and TKR were so darn effective. Omer Meyer played a couple important minutes in the first half. He finishes with 3 points in 11 minutes play. Jack Benner, 19 minutes, 7 points, and Jack Benner does what he always does. He comes in the game and he makes impact almost right away every single time. It's like he's hyper motivated to make that impact, and then he does it, and it is contagious. That's one reason he is so important, and you need him on the court. You need Jack on that wall. Jakari Harris, in just 13 minutes of action, 7 points, but he had the most important points of all, 2 for 2 from the free throw line. Purdue moves on to play Iowa later this week. It's a big game. These next 4 games are huge. Purdue is absolutely down in the stretch in the stretch that's going to define the season. And a lot is still in front of them. And you're all frustrated and you're annoyed, but you should have a little grin in the corner of your mouth because that's a victory. That's a hard one to get. My buddy, buddy who, I think he's the same guy who said this is like a Rodman type of game. Maybe it wasn't him. Said to me the 5 minutes as Purdue was watching the lead slip away and giving the ball to Nebraska and allowing them to get open threes. He said, that's one of the worst 5-minute periods I've ever seen. I said, do you remember the IU game? It wasn't that long ago. That was worse. That's a worse team. IU is a worse team. Nebraska is a really, really good team. Really good team. Really well-coached team. They have a way of doing things. It doesn't always work because when you rely on the 3, sometimes you miss, right? But Oscar Clough was making their possessions short. That was a big deal. TKR was making their possessions short. Even Fletcher Loyer, I mean, he had some massive rebounds. He had another clutch rebound at the end of the game to put the thing away, or to get closer to putting it away, shall I say. All right. Doc Kevin says it's a win. Exactly right. Exactly right. Ben Freegee, I think that's how I'd say his name, says boiler up. Denver Graham says, I'm still pissed. But let's all keep some perspective on it, right? It's okay. It's okay to be a little angry, but in the big scheme, in the grand scheme of things. By the way, Malik Renew, who made the best decision of his life, he transferred out of IU. If you don't know who he is, he just helped Miami beat North Carolina after North Carolina beat Duke, and John Shire was almost. Hold on, John Shire, that brave staff at Duke. Their fake coach getting trampled and punched in the face. Are we not done with Duke and John Shire and believing anything that he says? 2 years in a row, this moron has sold you a bill of goods that it's so violent as these people rush the court that they fear for their lives. Shut your face hole, John Shire. I've had enough. He completely fabricated the story this year. Last year was just partial fabrication, just little lies. This year is absolute lies. Don't like the guy. All right. M3 Adjuster says, not first. No, you're not. No, you're not, Mark. Motor City Boiler says, I'll take it. Absolutely. Not only should we take it, we should say, thank you, sir, may I have another. I know these are tough on us, but think about how whiny we sound as Purdue fans about victories. This is a lot different than the Oregon game, by the way. Oregon's not a good team. By the way, they went from Purdue and they went to Bloomington, and IU cleaned their clock. They're not good. They're not good. I think IU beat them by, 20 or 18 points? So, yeah, this is different. This is different. Nebraska's really good. Take this victory. Savor it like a delicious rye. Steve Azzano says, man, he's right. Thad Grubaugh says, his team is aggravating. They absolutely are. And Marshall says, well, that was terrifying. It was. The whole thing's harrowing, right? CSD says a win is a win. That's a good take. We're starting to right the ship here. I don't think we're going to be all positive from here out. Joe Inslee says, everyone is beautiful. That doesn't mean they're all fun. That is a good quote, Joe. Look at you. Look at you, Joe. That's beautiful stuff. Greg Stuckey says, good to see how active we were on the boards. It was absolutely the only reason Purdue won. If we're being really frank. When you shoot that badly from three, you have to rebound. And Purdue. And they shorten Nebraska's possessions on the other end. That's the key. That rebounding thing works both ways. The Noodle says, yeehaw! And now that's a good take right there. So Adam P. says, my last patch of brown hair, it's now gone. All gray now, thanks to Boiler Ball. And he's right. My beard, I'm surprised you're not watching it get gray on the sides. Those dark patches now are being surrounded by gray. Christina, how are you? Says that was quite the journey of a game, and that's another good way. It is a journey. The whole season's a journey. I keep saying this, and I'm gonna plead with anybody who's connected to Braden Smith and Fletcher Loyer, Trey Kaufman-Renn, and Oscar Clough. Number one, we don't know if Oscar Clough will be back. We don't know if he's going to be granted a 5th year of eligibility. Remember, he's a JUCO guy when he started his career, which that's the leg they're trying to stand on. But if these guys can't come back, if they don't come back, the thing that I keep saying as an old guy is the end is right there. There's a lot of time on one hand for these guys to right the ship. There really is. Tonight should be a glimpse enough for all Purdue fans to say, yeah, they can still do it. This team can still play. I keep saying, look at it through a perspective of Nebraska wanted this one bad. They wanted this to be a landmark win, right? They wanted this to be, okay, we're heading down the stretch. Their end of the season schedule is a lot easier than Purdue's and Michigan's and Michigan State's. And so this was the way they head that direction. They desperately needed this win. So let's keep going. MSP says, thank goodness the mop kid didn't do his job. And no, he did not. Or she. I'm not going to say it could have been a girl. JP Boiler says, if you didn't watch the game, you would have taken the result before the game. Nebraska is really good. I'll take the result anyway. I'll take the result because they win. And I'm not kidding around. If they won 1-0 and we had to watch them punch each other in the face. By the way, I mean, TKR got hit in the face today during a loose ball battle with number 9 on Nebraska, who looks like he might not have control of his limbs. He's always falling down, always flailing. So he's flailing. He's already locked up TKR. TKR goes for a loose ball, gets punched in the face. It draws blood. They call the foul. High knees calls the foul on TKR. Magic! That one pissed me off as much as anything. Later, Nebraska fans, by the way, they booed Purdue's bench taking a little time to clean up the blood on TKR's face. When I say little time, it was not long. They put a butterfly suture on his face, right? One of those sticky ones to keep the blood from going. So they booed him there. They booed Braden Smith when he got headbutted by Mast. He got completely headbutted, chin and mouth down on Smith's face in the first half. And Smith went down because there's a lot of physics against Braden Smith right there. I don't know if you've ever been headbutted. It's the worst. It is the worst. It's worse than getting punched. So stay classy, Nebraska fans. T. Campbell says, cheers. Good top 7 road win, which most teams don't have on their resume. This Purdue's resume is ridiculous. Painter benching Clough and Loyer for most of the second half was mind-boggling. Agreed. Why does he get away from winning lineups? So his whole thing, guys and girls, one of the things he likes to do is take out the guys he wants to finish the game with. But the timing of it is screwy as hell. And often he'll take guys out to get them ready for that stretch run right after they've done something really good. So you're like, the momentum. I mean, I've said it before. This team hates momentum. They hate rhythm. They hate being in rhythm. But part of that's Paint's fault. You guys are right to call him on that. And Paint should know this. All you friends of Matt Painter, your neighbors, I know you guys, all the people in the big, beautiful houses on Melody Lane. Go and tell Coach Paint, just chill with some of these subs. It's okay to leave Oscar in an extra minute and go against your analytical chart for just a second. Let Oscar cook. Let him cook. Need to be in verse. My buddy Andrew says, I have so many feelings. I'm with you, but let's get the bad stuff out. This is a good night. It's a good night. Andrew Nelson says, rather take an ugly win than a pretty loss. Exactly. Nebraska had a very pretty loss tonight. Lee Fell says, let us be thankful for the guys that wipe the floor and stink at their jobs. Absolutely. Scare Time Studio says, so many missed shots and free throws. Thank goodness for Clough and TKR and Sweat, of course. Very good take. Joe Ensley, who is quotable, says, Purdue just beat the number 7 team in the country on the road. That's all that matters right now. Alpaca Herd says, let's celebrate. My goodness, this team looks for so many ways to lose. There's still a chance, guys and girls, that they're getting this stuff out of their system and they're going to get rolling. There's a chance. Now I believe. I don't know if I believed that before this game. Because I'm telling you, I saw things that are super positive. And I still think that this team has a lot in the tank. All of that said, it's going to take Fletch and Smith to absolutely get into sync together and get into a rhythm and play like they love each other. And I mean that. Like, all these guys need to play like that guy next to them is their brother. I think some of that, Purdue's lost a little bit of sight of that. Purdue's generally really good about chemistry. They don't seem to have much of it right now. Mr. Meister says Clough saved the day. He did. He was a beast. M3 Adjuster says, worst free throw shooting day in a long time. What a great win to come back in overtime. Definitely a bundle of nerves. Yeah, and hopefully you're calming down a little bit, taking a deep breath. JC Boilermaker says, what did I just watch? No one knows. No one knows. Boilers 0-2. Good evening, B-Dowd. A win is a win for the Boilers. Glad it was Nebraska, because on Saturday I was told by a fellow Purdue fan that Purdue can't win at Mackey. Well, that Purdue fan, I don't know if they were at the game, that I was at that game, and they did win that game. This is the thing about hyperbole in the day of social media, because people say shit like that all the time. And I've cursed way too much today. I apologize for all you guys who've never heard these words. But people that just talk trash all the time on social media, I can't help but call them on it and say, they just won the game versus Oregon, right? You do know that. So, yeah, they can win at Mackey. And they're going to clean somebody's clock here in the next 10 days, 2 weeks. It's not a hot take. I'm going to try to go down to people that haven't. Brad Eban. Let's say Eban. And I know we interact all the time on Twitter. I apologize, but we've never exchanged names. 3-point shooting and free throw shooting was terrible. Loyer was 4 of 17 from 3, but his pass to Clough was the play of the game. This is very good perspective. Rebounding and hustle was elite. Plus, the boys got a great road big W. Great road win, big W. Yeah, and that stuff shouldn't be lost. I know the anti-Fletch crowd wants to tell him to quit basketball. The guy's really good still, and he does a lot of the little stuff. Go back and watch the final minutes of how many rebounds he came out, how many loose balls he came away with, and that pass was massive. Huge. Alpaca Herd says Purdue was out of timeouts at the end of regulation, I think. Yeah, they were. Weird timeout game, too, because that doesn't happen very often to Painter. And Nebraska used almost all their timeouts in the first half. So, really crazy game, weird game. Beater Young, I think I said it right that time. Beater Young says, I'm glad I'm not on a cardio monitor at this moment. Yeah, your doctor would be mad. Let's see. Rob Kruger says, interesting, we took 17 more shots than the Huskers. Imagine if we get our shooting touch back. Exactly. So let's paint a picture. What if Purdue rebounds like this and shoots well? What if Purdue rebounds like this and just shoots at their average free throw tick for the year? This can happen. And if you do those little things, we've seen it before, all of a sudden you just beat teams going away. And many of these problems that seem like they're a billion pounds get a lot lighter. Guys need to start believing, though. That's the biggest thing. It is all between their ears right now. Smith and Loyer. One thing that I thought was really positive, I'm not kidding around here, is that Loyer kept shooting at the end of the game. He wasn't hitting. He has to keep shooting. And you negative Loyer people can stay someplace else on this. He has to keep shooting. He's the best shooter on the team. I know he doesn't look like it right now. He's the best shooter on the team. He has to keep doing that. Let's see. E-Fuzz, is that right? E-Fizz says, has Painter lost the locker room at this point? No, he has not. Up 20 in the second half. Need overtime to pull a win out of the fire. All that said, still a great defensive and rebounding effort. He has not lost the locker room. He has not. And this game shows he hasn't lost the locker room. And the reason I say that is the effort. Effort is what usually shows a team is done, right? Purdue came out tonight. Here's the thing. This team has a problem. The seniors have a problem. And their problem is they take deep breaths before games and be like, okay, we're fine tonight. That's their biggest problem. Well, guess what, seniors? Now they're all big games. Every damn game is a big game, especially in the next 4. Right? You get to exact revenge on IU if you put that one at the end of that 4, and I think that one's really, really important. After that, it gets interesting because you have 2 games, I think, to finish the season. Well, you got Wisconsin, who just remember last year how they beat your brains in, right, at Mackey. Remember that game. And they come back to Mackey for senior day. Purdue should be lit on fire at that because it's senior day. But I can't remember. The other game is Northwestern. So, and if you don't remember losing to Northwestern seniors, holy crap. I don't care how bad they are. You should have nightmares about that. Blake Marty says, totally agree. That was probably the most anxiety-provoking game in a long while. Thank the good Lord we pulled this one out. Agreed. Alex Bear says, as Brian Newbert says, a Tuesday win on the road in the Big Ten is a good win. Brian Newbert says, and I think it's one of the most quotable things he says. By the way, he had a great piece about the state of Purdue basketball and the state, I think, of college sports in general. I suggest you read it. Also, I don't do this very often. Sleepers Media had an argument about the problems with Kansas guard Peterson, who seems to be mailing it in this season, and the problem that is a bigger indicator with the game. Very worthwhile discussion. Just if you guys are looking for entertainment outside of here. Yeah, but a Tuesday night victory in Happy Valley, I think this year would be one of those, right? In Lincoln, this is absolutely imperative because they're so damn good. This isn't the Nebraska of your uncle, right? Or your old pal Boiler Dowd. Nolan23 says, this game took years off my life. Agreed. Same. Anthony Hinch says, rebounding and defense travel. Word. That's a great, yeah. Here's the thing. Effort travels, right? Effort travels. That's where the rebounding and defense traveling. Unfortunately, nerves don't travel. Everybody's got to just chill. Get some sleep tonight. Get those nerve endings all healed up. Anthony Hinch says, rebounding travel. The real Adam H. Oh my gosh, it's the real Adam H. He's here. Says, I'm tired of the negativity. Purdue fought hard, didn't give up, believed and won together. Good take. F31C says, dumbfounded by the early shots and missed free throws, early shots in the shot clock. Yeah, that's one thing. If you're going to be upset with something, especially a guy with the basketball IQ of Fletch, he took a couple early in the shot clock. I think he took 2 in a row, 2 possessions in a row. And that's something he can cure and he needs to cure. So I like rhythm threes, but yeah, you're right. Giving up the lead reminds me of Purdue from like 15 years ago. Oh no, you don't have to go back that far. we don't have to go that far at all. Brandon Alexander says, holy cow, my blood pressure. Great win, but please, God, hit free throws next time. God always hits free throws, so God's not the problem there. Downtown Indy Boiler says, what was Loyer from 3? 4 of 17. Already heard that. Let's see. Anybody else down here that has not? I've not read. Nick Harden. How are you, buddy? Says, a win is a win. Purdue was way better on defensive rotations. Yeah, that's true. They did a good job handling screens. That's a big deal. Most of the game they had been than they had been for months. The biggest negatives were free throws and missing open shots. Yeah, no doubt. Easily fixable. I agree. Jay Tent says, what I noticed as soon as Nebraska started getting a little bit more physical, they started struggling on offense, and then they were tired by the end of for the free throw. Could be. You also, here's one thing that is it's evergreen. It's an evergreen idea, and that is that Big Ten and NCAA, they're all the same, by the way. Officials are awful, and when you're on the road, they're gonna be brutal, and you need a 10-point lead just to neutralize that effect. That way, if you miss a free throw, you miss a front end, you're gonna be okay. If you miss a 3, you're gonna be okay. You need a 10-point lead. Instead, Purdue hadn't scored in minutes. And that's the real problem. Purdue had gone into this weird stall version of the offense, and it was ugly, super ugly to watch. Don't go back and watch it. Ed Albanese, the Gummy Bear King of Northern Indiana, says, I had a heart attack. Crazy game. I hope you're lying, and I think you are. Matt Keller says they won against Nebraska, which I thought they would lose. Very good perspective. But blowing a 20-point lead, 22-point lead, is not elite. If they make their free throws, it's not close. Yeah, you're right. And this team has shown some things that aren't elite. There's no doubt about it. There's no doubt about it. I said that after the Iowa State game. I told you guys that my perspective on this team changed. The thing is, they can get that stuff back. But you can't take mental breaks from games, from periods of time, right? And the mental strength of this team, that's a big question mark. I think that's fair. D. Midkiff says, I know I'm supposed to be positive. Well, we're split tonight. I'm just not seeing mental toughness to win more than 3 tournament games. I think we got a lot of basketball left in a way. We got a lot of things to see before you look at that. By the way, Wisconsin is up by 3 with 47 seconds on Illinois. And one of the Vitches, it looks like to me, is at the line. Let's see if he hits it. He hits it. Clutch. Now it's 89-87. 47 seconds left. Wisconsin has the ball at the other baseline. I'll keep an eye on it. Karen Grulak says, Team Fletcher. Right on. Welcome back. Let's see. Ryan McKay, I think, says, Painter's next couple practices, just free throws, baby. Might hurt the conditioning a little bit, but sure, why not? But how do you can't replicate what they just go through, right? That's the thing. You can't. The thing is, Smith and Loyer have been pretty damn clutch from the free throw line for their career. It was incredible that Smith, Loyer, and Cox all decided to pee down their leg down the stretch. But again, the big picture. Let's see. Don Reese says, time for everyone to head towards the fire station. Exactly. Head towards the fire station. And it, yeah, just, I did a horrible job on that. I apologize, Adam. You're better than that. Matt Adkins Scott, that name took a turn at the end. Not going to complain. Won on the road, versus a top 10 team. Wasn't pretty at times, but did enough to win. That's good perspective. Eric Johnson says, the wild, inconsistent play from game to game, or even within the same game, is mind-boggling. It is. With all these seniors, it is. It totally is. Sports King says, refs were doing their best to have a Nebraska win. Anytime you have high knees in a game, you're going to see some bad officiating. Andy Buck says, up 14 with 2:45 left. Whew. Three-pointer is the great neutralizer, right? And Nebraska can bomb. And then at the same time, Purdue was absolutely atrocious at that point. Boilerman says, surprised me that the 1-3-1 was so disruptive. It doesn't surprise me. Purdue struggles versus zones. The funny thing is, it wasn't really the 1-3-1 that was all that disruptive because Purdue was getting open looks. That's a Purdue problem. It's not a defensive thing. So they didn't have hands in their faces for many of those. It's a lot like that Oregon game. That's Adam says, my chest still hurts. Boiler up. Adam, can I just tell you, I'm really sorry about that ad read. I think that's the 4th apology. It's the worst. It's the worst. You deserve better. Adam's my boy. Hal Gotch. Let's go with Goach. Says, agreed on Loyer defending, forces more turnovers than people realize. He absolutely does. Draws charges. Yep. Agree with you. Anthony said something up there, but I said that too. So I think I deserve some credit. I'm just kidding. Literally, it just went blank on me. So let me see if there's one more here. Andrew Nelson said, can't remember the last time a member of the senior class hit a game winner. Fletch freshman year at Ohio State. Did you not watch the Oregon game? You mean any game winner? Because Fletch just won the game versus Oregon. I mean, it just happened. That's what I'm talking about. We got bad memories, Purdue fans. Fletch just hit the game winner versus Oregon. So, yo says they were up 14 after it was only 4 late. Really choked from that point on. Come on, man. Positive thoughts. Michael Hogue says huge play for Wisconsin getting the loose ball and calling a timeout. Wisconsin 89, Illinois 87. It looks like Wisconsin's going to the free throw line to me. Nope. They're taking the ball out of bounds on the baseline, on their own baseline. 14.8 seconds left. We really want Wisconsin to win. As hard as it is, you got to cheer for them. Wisconsin gets it in. It's fouled at about 30 feet by the Cathedral alum, Davis, the guy with the beautiful curly hair. Not a fan of it. I think that's it. I'm going to let you guys watch this last 14 seconds, and I'm going to say God bless you. Hammer down. Purdue is 20-4. That's all that matters. You can be negative. You can be positive. The record is what it is, and it's a good thing. Late. Talk to you soon.